and look who I have. I always do it the wrong way. Right over next to me. I'm like, no, wait. It is Coach Bronson, you guys. And I had the opportunity of meeting him on a roundtable, a carnivore roundtable. And I didn't want to monopolize all his time that day because that just wouldn't be fair. But I did invite him to come on with me because I had some specific things that I wanted to pick his brain about. And I am hoping that you guys here in the chat will also put in your questions for Coach Bronson. So let's just jump right in. My main question, or just dive right in the deep end. Why not?
Let's do it.
That's what I say. So welcome. Thank you for agreeing to come on with me today. But my main question is in regards to fitness for us women over 40, and why is that so important for us as we are aging and heading into perimenopause and menopause and all of that?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start.
Okay. Functional fitness. Can we start with functional fitness?
Yeah, all of the reasons. Let's start with functional fitness. What is functional fitness? So I guess, okay, that's good. You just gave me an idea. So there's a couple of different areas we could probably talk about. So we could talk about what does physical independence mean? Mm-hmm. We could talk about specifically on the menopause side of things, how can we help stabilize your body through the change? And we can probably talk about stress management, energy throughout this process. And then there's some mental aspects too, right? I hope you're writing all this down because I'm going to forget what I just said. Okay, so let's talk about functional fitness, like you said. I like that.
Okay.
Okay, so functional fitness, the concept behind functional fitness is to do things in your fitness routine that improve your ability to function in your environment. That's a really simple. Hey, kitty cat.
There she is. There's simple. She's going to show us some functional fitness.
I love how they get up there, then they put their back to you. They're like,
yeah,
I know you're looking at me, and you can't see.
Functional fitness. Did you see that?
There it is.
Tall up there. She's middle-aged, guys, and look what she can do.
Look at that. So the idea for real functional fitness is to improve your ability to live your life the way that you want to live it. So this whole process we get into is surprising to many people. It is more about your quality of life and your ability to be independent as you get older than it is about losing weight. And many people don't realize that until they get stuck because losing weight hasn't gotten them where they want to be. And they goes, well, I thought that was the golden ticket. I thought that was the magic bullet. I have many women that I work with who have lost all the weight that they want to lose, and they're still trying to figure out why they think their life sucks.
Okay.
Right. And it's like, okay, the weight wasn't the problem. There's other things going on. There's limitations that you have in your life. Right. And losing the weight can be beneficial. It's not a bad thing to do, but it's not usually the end goal that really gets people to a point where they can feel satisfied and comfortable in their skin, right? If you really, here's the kicker. This is one of the things about functional fitness. If you really want to get comfortable in your skin and feel confident in your body, get your body to be able to do whatever you want it to do whenever you want it to do it. That is how you will become confident in your body. When a situation can come up and you don't even have to ask yourself, can I do that? Will I be able to? I don't know if I can make that. That's too hard. All of the different things that we have to say to ourselves now, and trust me, I was there, right? I was 70 pounds ago. It was a pain to get off the floor. My knees hurt, my back hurt, my neck hurt, my shoulder hurt, all of those things. And I had to work through that. It took me a long time, but I had to work through all that stuff. I don't have those limitations anymore. So I've been there. I understand what it's like to live your life with a box around everything that you want to do. And that is one of the biggest things that fitness will help you get out of.
Hello. I'm just fatter. Okay. So you might not know Coach Bronson, but I put my cat on a carnivore diet, and this is what she does all day now. She doesn't sleep all day now.
That's awesome. I love it.
Comes around like that. And so she just ate a bunch of tuna and now she's all like happy.
Yep.
So,
Yep. How do you get her calcium? Because I know cats have a higher demand for calcium.
I hadn't thought of that. Do you have any suggestions? I just got her up to
I know
kibble.
some people that do a lot of fish, that like small fish with bones, like
Okay, so I've given
anchovies
her
and
sardines.
sardines,
Yeah,
things
I've
like
given
that.
her sardines with bones.
Okay,
Yeah.
some people also will take eggshells and grind them up into a powder and mix them
Okay.
in with their meat and
So,
stuff like
so
that.
I do have some eggshell powder, so I will
Yeah,
maybe try adding some of that. Thanks for the tip.
yeah,
But yeah, she's for sure has more energy and is like you just saw. So yes,
yep.
Allison says drive-by cat. Yeah, we just had a little drive-by kitty cat.
Drive-by cat. I love it.
So, so how does so you talked about how, functional fitness can impact us and how it can benefit us,
Yeah.
but like what, so and even what it means, but like how do we go about achieving that? Like if
Yep.
I want to, I'm 48 now, okay, and I watched my grandmother get more and more and more decrepit due to
Sure.
like rheumatoid arthritis, and all of that. Now, I don't think I'm going to have any of that. I'm a carnivore. I'm going to continue to do that. Any joint pain I had is kind of going away.
Mm-hmm.
But is there anything specific I can do? Because right now, here's what I do. I kind of fit in fitness. So I do make time for my sprints because I enjoy my sprinting. Everybody knows
Mm-hmm.
that, I think, if they watch my channel. And then throughout the day, like when I'm waiting for my heart attack chicken, Rick's heart attack chicken to fry, which is really, really good, by the way. I had like 7 minutes, so I busted out some squats and some counter push-ups.
Oh, nice. Good.
Like
Okay.
that. That's kind of how I do it. I'm not the kind of person that's going to set aside 40 minutes. Is that bad? Should I become that kind of person?
It's about total volume. Like as long as you're getting it in and you're getting the right things in and you're getting enough of it. So it may to a point there may be a time where you need to set some block scheduling or something where you get some set time to do it. But in general, so functional movement, I think the base concept behind functional movement, we have to take it down a level and say, well, or functional fitness is what is functional movement, right? If functional fitness is some type of fitness routine that is enabling you to live your life without limitations. Okay, well, how do I live? Well, when we're talking about without limitations, we're talking about how do I move through my environment? How do I get around my house? We talk about what does it mean to be the medical term is ambulatory, right?
Mm-hmm.
How I need to be able to walk around and do the things I need to do. How do I carry things? All that kind of stuff. So there are 7 essential movements that everyone should be able to do, period. I guess that's the way
Okay.
to.
So what are they?
Right. So you should be able to squat.
Okay.
You should be able to hinge at your hips, right?
Okay.
That's typically what we call a deadlift, but it's really just being able to bend down and pick something up properly.
Okay.
Okay. We should be able to lunge, right? And a lot of people think of lunging as just big, exercise thing. I've got to take these big steps, touch my knees. Okay. Walking up the stairs is a lunging movement. It's a very functional movement.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Walking down the stairs is a lunging movement. We should be able to push things. We should be able to pull things. We should be able to carry things and walk. We should be able to twist our torso without damaging our spine. So those are the 7 basic things that everybody should be able to do. And you should be doing something on a regular basis to practice and improve your ability to do all 7 of those things.
Okay, so the first 4, I think I understand. I understand how to do squats. I understand how to do lunges. But like when you say push things and pull things and twist, like what kind of exercises are going to prepare me for those?
Push-ups is a great example of pushing things.
Okay, got it.
Right? Pulling things would be like a sled drag. If you were at a gym and you had you grabbed a sled and you put some a strap on it and you pulled and you walked backwards with it. Right. Or even just doing pull-ups. Pull-ups is a great example of a pulling motion. Doing get on a row machine and row. That's a pull. Right.
Okay. Yeah.
It's also some cardio. Nothing wrong with that. As far as twisting, there's a lot of different exercises for twisting. There's 2 main forms of. And a lot of people call it core work when we do sit-ups, right? But sit-ups are only one portion of the core. Your core is actually 360 degrees around your whole body. So your butt is part of your core.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Your lower abs, your upper abs, your rib cage, your back, that's all part of your core. And it's designed to support your spine so that when you're twisting, you're not damaging or twisting in such a way that your spine is out of position and then you hurt your spine, your spinal cord particularly. So core work should be anything that helps you stabilize your spine while your body is under stress. And there's a lot of different ways you can do that. Like I said, there's two main things. There's the active twisting, like a Russian twist or doing a kettlebell windmill or something like that, where you're purposefully twisting your body, but doing it under control and making sure your technique is good so that you're managing that process. Then there's also what we call anti-rotation, which is where you're trying to make your body do something that under normal circumstances would make your body twist, but you're not letting your body twist and you're resisting that force.
Okay.
Right. So there are some very specific exercises for that. The most common one of those is something called the Palloff press, which all of these things, if you guys are interested, I have all these videos on my YouTube. So I have a whole library, it's got like 350 exercise videos. So if you go to my YouTube, go to the exercise movement library, I've got all kinds of videos out there. So Palloff press. Hey, look at that. Look at that.
There you go. I come prepared, Coach Bronson. I don't mess around.
I love it. Like we planned that.
That's how we roll.
There we go. Bro, you got a lesson plan for this and everything? You didn't send me the notes.
I wanted to see how good you are on the fly.
Hey, there we go.
That's my
So yeah, so there's the core stuff, pretty much anything that you do that's going to focus on your lower back, on your upper back, on your sides, on your front, like all of that stuff is going to help with core stability.
Okay. How about planks? I did a whole month of like a plank challenge. So I was doing, I think when I started, I could do maybe 30 seconds. And by the end of the month, I could hold like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Felt pretty good after that.
Yeah, right. The more you do it. And that's the great thing about fitness is the more you do it and the more consistent you are with it, the better you get. And you don't have to work as hard. This is something that I was just talking about on my YouTube, on my channel this week, last week, something like that, is the idea. I think a lot of people think that in order, have you ever heard the term progressive overload?
No.
Nobody ever talk about that? Okay. So there's this idea called progressive overload. It's a concept in exercise science where in order to improve, it's really just another way of saying what we say in coaching all the time, right? You have to get outside your comfort zone if you want to improve. Nothing, if you want more, if you want things that are outside, you got to go outside to get them. And that's the same thing in fitness. You have to do a little bit more in order to tell your body it needs to be able to do more. Okay. That's what progressive overload is. What a lot of people misinterpret that idea is that means we have to go work harder. And that's not necessarily true. The way that it works is there's two parts to the process when we exercise. You go and you do a certain amount of work that is challenging and outside your comfort zone, but it's enough that your body recognizes I have to adapt because this is what they're going to ask me to do. This is what they're asking me to do. I need to be ready to do this the next time they ask me to do this. Right. Okay. So the way we describe that is there has to be a stimulus that causes an adaptation. Right. Once we do that, that's the first part. The second part is we then have to give it time to recover from that stimulus. The recovery is where the body goes, I'm getting ready to do more. Right? Okay. Okay. And then when you come back to do that thing again with the same level of effort that you did in the prior workout, your body can now do more work. Okay. So you're not working harder, but you make sure that you try to get more work done. Does that make sense? So the level of effort should always be around here. Not always. In most cases, you want the level of effort to be consistent. But if you're doing enough to make a change and you're giving your body enough rest in between, the work you produce is going to get higher, even though you're putting in the same level of effort. So it's not that I went in today and I have to work harder tomorrow. That's not how it works. Right? You go in, you do adequate work. You do enough work that you feel good. I put in a good effort today. Then you give yourself a day of rest. You give yourself a couple of days off, whatever it may be. Every program is a little different. And then you come back and you do that workout again, and you should be able to do better. If you didn't do better the next time at the same level of effort, that means one of two things. Either you didn't do enough work the first time to tell your body it needed to change, or you're working too much and you're doing other things in between that aren't giving your body a chance to recover and perform better the next time.
Okay. So yeah, that was one of my questions, and you kind of covered it. I was just curious, so my question specifically was, what is the importance of rest days and what does this do for our bodies? So you kind of answered it, but I guess more specifically, how many days a week should someone my age, late 40s, be working out, and how many rest days should I be taking?
It all depends on the goal, but in general, for most, if we look at it from a, let's look at it from a body part perspective. If you're looking at building muscle and you're doing, let's say you're doing an upper body workout one day a week, or, one day, and you're doing a lower body workout another day, there should be probably, in most cases, at least 2 days, if not 3 days in between each part.
Okay.
Right. So if you work out do an upper body workout on day one, you take a rest day. You do a lower body workout, you take a rest day. You do an upper body workout again. So now you have 3 days in between the upper body workouts, and you have 3 days in between the lower body workouts. So you're working out 4 days a week, and you're getting 2 upper body workouts in a week and 2 lower body workouts in a week.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And that makes me happy.
It doesn't take a lot. A lot of people get so crazy with what they're doing. It doesn't take a lot.
I feel like it's doable. I feel like that's doable, That's awesome.
And just so you know, this is new because I actually just announced it yesterday. I just came out with a program that follows exactly what I just said. 2 days a week upper, 2 days a week lower. It's specifically designed just for helping women build muscle.
Okay.
And it's called the F2 Muscle Mommies.
Where can we find that?
I will send you the link.
Yeah, send me the link and I will put that down in the description below the video after the live stream is over.
Yep. It's designed for a gym or gym equipment. So you definitely need either a barbell or machines, like universal or hammer strength machines, some kind of machines, and dumbbells. But it is pretty straightforward. It's an ongoing subscription. So it's not like you just get some workouts and do them. It's a 12-week program. So every 12 weeks I change the workouts.
Okay.
And it's designed to progress. So by the beginning of week 1, whatever you're doing, you should be well above in your strength and and how you're feeling about things in 12 weeks. So you can test every week. You can test, how am I getting better?
Yeah, that's amazing. And that leads me to another question. So someone like me who doesn't have a gym membership, I do have minimal equipment. So I have a set of dumbbells that's the nesting kind that can, so it's as low as
adjustable.
Yeah, up to I don't even know, because they're too heavy for me when all the weight's on there. So I don't know if it's 50 pounds or whatever it is, at its highest or whatever. So I have some dumbbells and things like that. And I'm getting some resistance bands, but I don't have them yet, but they're
cool.
coming.
Okay.
So do you have any programs like that for someone like me?
Absolutely.
I
have 2 programs. I'll send you all the links. I have a body weight program.
Yes.
I have a body weight program that is a functional fitness body weight program. So it's the 7 essential movements.
Okay.
It's designed for 3 days a week, full body, 3 days a week. And that's like a beginner intermediate program.
Okay.
And then I have a functional fitness program that is it's the same type of thing. It's got a lot more variation, but it's designed more for dumbbells. If you have kettlebells, you can use kettlebells, resistance bands, things like that. But both of those, I have a lot of people doing those at home. You don't have to join the gym for those. I have most of the people I have in those programs are doing them at home.
Yeah, that's cool. That's my speed. Yep. I appreciate those people that want to go to the gym. That's just not my speed. I did have a membership for a little while with my son, but that was more for some mother-son bonding.
There we go.
We would go.
Hey, that's always fun too. Yeah.
It was good. It was good. Okay, so you had sent me a link to a study that you did. That
Mhm.
was fascinating. So I'm going to read. Excuse me while I look over here and read because the
Sure.
title was long. But it was called the Case Report Changes in Body Composition and Physical Performance in Peri and Postmenopausal Women Following a Ketogenic Diet and Functional Fitness Program. That's why I had to read it. That's a
I
long
tried to
title.
make that as long as possible.
Yeah, of course. It's fine. So I was wondering, like, can you kind of summarize that study for us? And then like, why did you decide to take this kind of a study on? What did
Yeah.
you discover from it?
Yeah. So to summarize it, the ketogenic helps women with menopause. Ketogenic diet and functional fitness helps women deal with menopause better. That's
Okay.
the summary.
Okay.
Um, and basically, it was a couple of years ago. When did we do this? We did this in 2022, I think, right? I used to run an 8-week challenge as part of my program, and we ran a couple of them. And I was realizing, hey, wait, most of my clients are women.
Mm-hmm.
Most of my clients are over 40. Many of my clients are starting or dealing currently or just got through menopause. Maybe we should document this and see what's going on.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
kind of like, hey, this makes sense. Let's try it. So
Mm-hmm.
at first it was, so I'm an affiliate with InBody body composition scanners. I've been working with them since I owned my gym, 2016.
Okay.
Um, Absolutely love them as a company. I love their product. It changed their InBody body composition scanners changed the trajectory of my career as a coach. I probably, if it weren't for them and the technology that they offered, helping me understand the impact of nutrition and what actual body composition does and can be used for in helping people improve their health, as opposed to just looking at fat. Because I just used to look at the scale as a
Mm-hmm.
coach, right? I owned a gym. We would do body measurements and we would do scale. Those are the
Mm-hmm.
two things that we looked at. When I was introduced to InBody, and I realized, wait a second, that's not it. This is it. Like understanding body fat percentage and hydration level, and lean mass and skeletal muscle mass and visceral fat, and looking at all these things, going, holy crap, we can figure this stuff out. Like, wait a second. And then seeing like if you eat this, that changes. If you don't eat this, that changes. If you do this workout, that like it was like, oh my gosh. So yeah. So anywho, so I was working with them at the time, and we were like, hey, what is something that we can do to kind of show, number one, that the ketogenic diet works for women in menopause. Number two, that functional fitness is a big piece that many women who are going through menopause are being told they need to avoid. And that is the absolute worst thing that you can do, is avoid exercise while you're going through menopause. The absolute worst thing. I don't know how can I say that louder?
I
The
mean, you
absolute
got
worst
real
thing
close
you
to
can
the
do,
camera when you
right?
said it. So
Okay.
say it louder for the
So
people in the back.
So I was really at the time that that we decided to do this, there was a lot of people in the ketogenic space that I personally was getting frustrated that I was hearing. I was working with a lot of women who were saying, I keep hearing all these people saying, I need to take it easy. I need to go for a walk, that I shouldn't be doing high intensity work. I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be doing that. And I'm like, I was just getting like, so I'm like, okay, we need to show that that's not how this goes. Right.
Okay.
So we did a challenge. We did 8 weeks. We documented everything as much as we possibly could. We did, it's not perfect, right? We didn't have a control. It wasn't in a lab. It was all self-reported. But the numbers, we did body composition scans every week. We did the basis of what my nutrition guidelines are, which was more protein than that was another thing. Another thing at the time that a lot of women, and still now, a lot of women are struggling with, right? Eating more protein. It's like, no, it's not the fat that's going to help your menopause. It's the protein that's going to help your menopause in
Okay.
most cases, unless you're under eating both. That's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah.
But as long as you're getting enough fat, then you need more protein. And getting women to have more protein made a huge difference, as well as getting them to start moving their body and helping them learn that they can do hard things. We had across the board decreases in fat loss, increases or maintenance of lean mass, and across the board, every single fitness test that we did, they blew out of the water from week 1 to week 8. We had, I can't even, the feedback that we got, not even just from the numbers of how people improved in the weight that they were using, the reps that they were doing, how quickly they were finishing the workouts, all those things, that blew me away. I was very surprised. I knew there would be some improvement, but the amount of improvement was absolutely amazing. And I didn't get into this in the study, in the report, but a lot of that improvement wasn't just from the physical improvement they got from exercising. A lot of that improvement was from the confidence they got from realizing they could do hard things. So they just did things harder.
I was going to
Right?
ask you if there was any like mental
There
wellness
was
type
a
of benefits.
huge mental shift, a
Yeah,
huge mental
that's
shift, right? A lot of the women started out with, okay, I'm going to take this 5 pound, and this is an exaggeration, right? But I'm going to take this 5 pound dumbbell and do this exercise. And then they realize, wait, might be able to do 10. Oh, wait, I can do 15. Oh, what if I can do 25? You know, it was like there was a jump where they're like, wait, I'm doing this and it's not as bad as I thought it was. Maybe I can do more. And that just completely opened a whole new life for them. Like they're like, this is crazy. I can do these things. And it's like a rocket ship. And that's the other aspect that I was going to talk about with fitness and confidence and the mindset that it can give you.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned macros. Can we talk a little bit about macros?
Sure.
And I know it's like individualized to everybody, but is there like a baseline where you recommend people kind of start? And then like, how do we go about tweaking that?
Yes. So the first thing I want everyone to understand about macros, and this might be different than anything you've ever heard before, and I will tell you, that's okay. Take it in and see what happens. Try it, experiment, see how it works. Okay. I've been very successful. I have not had anybody that I've worked with that this has not worked for. And I've been doing this for 12 years. Okay. Macros are not nutrition. Okay. If you're doing it based off of your calories. Macros are nutrition if you're doing it based on the actual quantity of nutrition that you're actually getting. So if you're doing your macros and you're setting how much food you should eat based off of a percentage of calories, 20, 80, 30, 70, 60, 40, whatever it may be, okay, you are by definition getting too much or too little of one of those macros. Okay, because your body doesn't know anything about ratios. The only thing your body knows is I need protein to do these things. I need fat to do these things.
Okay.
The relationship between the two has absolutely nothing to do with each other. Number one. Number two, in this space, we all understand that calories don't mean much. Sure, our body uses some of the food that we eat for energy, but if we understand that calories don't mean much, why do we still have this persistent practice of basing our entire nutrition profile off a percentage of calories?
Yeah.
That makes absolutely no sense to me. So when I look at helping people start with their macros, it's the starting point. And this is the other piece to understand. Everything that we do is experimentation. And like you said, I like you that you said that. How do we tweak it? You have to understand that wherever you start, there's going to be some tweaking and fine tuning for your individual experience. So that's what I'm about to say is a starting point, not a rule. Okay. It's a principle. So 1 gram of protein, 1 gram, I'm assuming we're talking carnivores, 1 gram of protein, 1 gram of fat per pound of lean mass. So if you weigh 200 pounds and you're 25% body fat, then you should try to get, and that's a key word there as well. I say try to get 150 grams of protein and 150 grams of fat, because 150 is your lean mass. Lean mass is your body weight minus your fat. Okay, so if you have 25 pounds of fat, 50 pounds of fat at 25%, then you have 150 pounds of everything else. That's what you should be getting for your protein and your fat. Now, some people are going to look at that and go, there's no way in hell I'm going to get 150 grams of protein a day. That's fine. If you're currently doing 80, try to get to 100. It may take you 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks to get to 100 on a consistent basis. When you get to 100, see how you feel. Maybe 100 is all you need, right? But I guarantee you, getting closer to 150 than where you were is going to be a better result for you. Right. And the same thing for the fat. Maybe some of you are doing 200, 250 grams of fat and you need to drop it down to 150.
Mm-hmm.
I deal with a lot of women who are still doing 70 grams of fat. And guess what? You all need to get up to 150.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a great starting point. I call it 1 to 1 to 1. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So 1 to 1 to 1 starting point, work on getting there to those numbers as closely as possible. And you will be absolutely amazed at how your progress stalls. You're going to bust through whatever stall that you think you've been in right now.
Okay. And then I was talking about tweaks, and I'm sure it's hard for you to talk about that, right? Because it's individualized, but like, how long should we try something out? Like, how long should we sit in that place before we decide? I say that again?
6 to 8 weeks.
6 to 8 weeks before we go changing something. Okay.
Now, it could be sooner. It could be 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But here's the thing that I deal with most of my clients. This is the fun part. Most of my clients, it's not happening. It's not happening fast enough. Blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me see your food logs. Okay. So you weren't consistent this week. Okay. Let's go for another week. Okay. You were consistent this week. All right. Cool. Great. It's not going to happen in a week. Let's go next week. Oh, you weren't consistent this week.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I say 6 to 8 weeks because it usually takes 6 to 8 weeks for most people to be consistent enough over the time for whatever changes they've made to actually work.
Right.
Now, if you are 100% on point, you could probably figure out what the next tweak needs to be in about 4 weeks.
Okay. But you recommend logging things so that you can go back and look through them. And
if you're trying to make a change,
right?
Yes. If you're trying to make a change. So here's the thing. If one of my sayings, it's in my next book. It's a whole thing in my next book. If you're not tracking, you're not trying. I got a whole chapter called "If you're not tracking, you're not trying." Right. And the idea is.
Sorry, my friend Erin is here, and she's the queen of the tracker. So I'm like,
there you go, awesome.
She tracks everything. I mean, everything.
Yeah. So, and everyone's got a different tolerance for what tracking is and how much they want to do and can do, and that's totally fine, just like anything else.
Yep.
But understand two things. If you're trying to make a change, you can't change something you don't know about.
Right.
You have to know what you're changing. What was I doing before? What was the condition I was in? What did I change? How long did I do it? When did I start seeing a change? What was the change that I saw?
Mm-hmm.
What's the next thing that I'm going to do to see what gets me to the next step? Right. So you have to have that information. You have to know, am I actually getting in the food that I think that I'm getting in? Am I showing up to the gym consistently? Am I moving the same weight every time, or am I trying to add a pound or a rep every time? Like the data, you can't make a change if you don't have the data. Now, if you get to a point where you're like, you know what, I got a lot of things going on in my life, and tracking and doing this, thinking about all this stuff is stressing me out, then stop. Do what you can to make good decisions, maintain a habit of going to the gym, right? But maybe there's a season in your life where tracking doesn't make sense because it's adding stress. That doesn't mean your journey has to stop. That just means you're at a point where for the moment, I'm going to maintain where I'm at. I'm going to try to maintain my habit. I'm going to keep a good mindset. I'm going to keep moving forward. I'm going to keep my eye on the goal. Mm-hmm. And when this other thing calms down, I'll get back into tracking and pick myself back up and move forward and start seeing where I want to go. We have to understand, guys, there's no such thing as 100%, right? We all have lives. We all have things that are calling us to do whatever. We have distractions. We have things happening in our lives. I have clients that have called me and said, hey, I need to pause my one-on-one program because such and such happened in my family. I got to do it. Okay, great. It is what it is. Like we get so hung up on if something doesn't go 100% right, then we just might as well quit. And that's the wrong thing, guys. Adjust. Don't quit. Adjust. Right. The goal stays the same, but that doesn't mean the plan can't change.
Mm-hmm. So you talked about stress just then, and you talked about stress at the very beginning.
I love
Can we
stress.
get into stress? Can we get into that just a little bit more?
Sure.
Because I've been off work for 3 weeks as teaching, but guess what? I'm going back on Monday. So guess what's
Yeah.
going to happen to my stress?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. What part of stress do you want to talk about? Because there's a whole bunch of stuff. I'm this far from writing an outline for a book all about stress.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So why is it so important to manage stress, and does stress affect our hormones? Like, how do those interact with each other?
Everything.
And like, what's the best thing I can do to like help myself and other people who are watching? Like, it's not just all about me.
Okay. So the thing about stress, I want everyone to understand, is that it is a 360-degree issue. Life, by definition, is stress.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Everything that we do, everything that our body does, our metabolism is based on the idea that we are getting ready to handle stress, handling stress, or recovering from stress. That is the state of the human condition in every single aspect of our existence. Okay. So if we understand that, then we can look at the big picture,
Mm-hmm.
okay, of what we call the allostatic load. Let's get funky, right? The allostatic load to say all of the things in our lives that are causing stress.
Okay.
Okay. We have things in our lives that are causing stress mentally, right? And that's our thought processes, our belief system, our perception of the world, stresses that are things that are happening in our life, our environment, stuff around us, all those different things. Okay. Those things have an impact on our biology and our physiology. They affect how our body functions internally, right? They impact our hormones. When we get stressed, right, epinephrine goes up, right? There's a whole bunch of things that are triggered when we're stressed. Cortisol goes up. That's the big one, right? The cortisol is the stress hormone. Okay. Our body's always in fight or flight whenever we have stress that we're not managing. Then that's also leads to physiological impacts. We feel tired and weak, right? Our hair starts falling out, right? We start getting rashes and things start happening, right? So the projection of the mental goes into the biological and then presents in the physiological, right? It hits all aspects of our body. So what are some of the things that we can look at? If everything in our life can be a stressor or is a stressor, then what do we do to remove or manage that stress? We have to understand a couple of things. Number one, it's not about removing as much as it is managing. There are some stresses we can remove. And those are the things, for instance, like our food choices, right? When we eat something, this is a perfect example. I love this example. The stress that you get from knowing that you have to go back to school and deal with the kids, right? Knowing that your cat is acting crazy because now she's eating really good and you can't control her in the house.
She runs past the camera right in front of Coach Bronson. It's very embarrassing.
Whatever else may be going on in your life, right? Maybe you got a ticket the other day. Maybe you got a
two
water
teenagers, Coach. I mean, I got 2 teenagers. Okay.
Oh, you got 2 teenagers. Yeah. So that's enough right there, right? So all of these things that are happening in your life, right? If you were to throw in a glass of wine 3 nights a week, that would be an added stress that provides no benefit to your life, right? You could at least say that your teenagers, as stressful as they are, they had benefit to your life.
Correct.
Right? Same with your cat, right? Same thing, right?
Yes.
So when we start looking at the choices that we make as a net negative or a net positive to our management of stress, is this adding stress and is it worth it? Or is it taking away stress? Right. And that goes.
This is the best thing I've heard like all year. Now the year's only 5 days old, Coach Bronson, but that's really good. I've never thought of it that way
because every choice we make is a decision to how much stress are we adding to our body.
Yes.
Whether it's biological, whether it's physiological. Guess what a stressor is that's physiological?
Exercise?
Not exercising.
Oh, not exercise. Okay.
Not exercising is a net negative to your physiology.
Okay.
Now, exercising is a stress, but it's a stress that comes with an upside.
With an upside, right.
right? So do I want to stress that's going to come with an upside and provide physical freedom down the road? Or do I want to stress that's going to be a negative and provide limitation and dependency down the road? They're both stressors.
Now, so today I pulled up my jump rope and I didn't want to, but like I did it. And then after I did it, I was like feeling really good. Is that kind of what we're talking about a little bit? It was like I didn't want to. I was like very mad.
Yes, that's a hormone response.
Okay.
Right? That is a confidence from doing something that was hard and making it happen. Right? That was success. Success breeds, does a whole bunch of things in our brain, right? Dopamine response and things like that. So yeah, I mean, doing the things that we know are going to provide a net positive in the immediate, because in the immediate, as soon as that workout is done, you're like, bang, I feel great. Right? And then also I'm developing myself for the future, as opposed to I'm going to make a choice to not work out today. Now I have just added to my stress for no reason. I'm not doing it for an end goal. I'm doing it for, I'm really lying to myself, honestly.
Well, yeah, because then the self-talk is I'm lazy, right? That kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So if we look at everything from a net positive and a net gain, net negative, and we look at stress management as, you know, unfortunately, when I do my research for stress management, a lot of the stuff that I see is about cortisol management, or the mental side of stress management, meditation and journaling and self-care and all these other things. Nobody's talking about the fact that what you eat adds to your stress. And what you don't do physically adds to your stress. And here's the cool thing about it. When you eat well, when you eat a nutrient-dense, bioavailable, satiating diet, okay, mostly animal meat, in case anybody's wondering, when you move your body on a regular basis, when you move weight and build muscle, and when you move well and learn how to move your body functionally, when you do those things, you are doing something that's going to help you manage and improve the stress that's inside your biological stress. It improves your ability to manage biological stress. And it improves your body's ability on the physiological side to manage external stress. So the things in your life that are pushing on you and causing you stress that would normally have the physical manifestation of your body breaking down, you don't have that because now you're resilient enough to fight against it.
Yeah, absolutely. Oops, that's not the one I wanted. Hi, Carrie, but I wanted to pop up Karen's comment. She says, when I'm not feeling best, I usually lift the weights with more familiar movements. This way I still get my movement in, but not pushing myself towards injury.
That's in pushing yourself enough, but not so far that you get hurt is the balance and the key, right? Because you don't want to get hurt because then you can't train and then you go backwards, right? So we don't want to do that. So find that balance, push a little bit, don't push too hard.
Yeah, absolutely.
That you get hurt.
Yeah, 100%. So a lot of my friends are popping in now. So yeah, hi, Mike. Mike is saying hello.
Hey.
We've got, where was it where she popped in? Carrie, my metamorphosis popping in. Hi, Carrie.
My metamorphosis. I love that.
Isn't that a great handle? Yeah. I love it so much. She's the one who's sending me some resistance bands, Coach Bronson. So
awesome.
Yeah, she's sending me those, and we're excited to get started. I've never tried them before, so I'm excited to get started with those. And Christopher Thompson is popping in saying hello. Hey. Also, hi, Christopher. Nice to see you. So, before we get too far into because it's been 45 minutes, and I did put up a post, like on my Instagram, I put up a post that I was doing this interview, and I asked if people had questions, and there were a couple people that had some questions.
Awesome.
So
as long as you want. I don't know if you have a limit, but I love talking. So in case you didn't guess, we can talk.
Okay, cool. Like we can talk. Yeah, I'm good. As long as there's people hanging with us, like we could just hang. It's fine. But nobody's asking any questions. You guys ask some.
They're all just saying hi to each other. It's
They're
like
all saying hi to each other, which you know I love. Some of them just came in. Guys, ask Coach some questions. He's a wealth of information. Okay, so the first question is actually from someone I know. So it's Robin, Carnivorous Grandma.
Okay.
She was asking, is walking okay for a person with bone-on-bone arthritis in the knee?
Anything is okay if you can do it without causing more damage.
Okay.
That's the key. So that goes into the evaluation of that experimentation piece we talked about. It's for nutrition and fitness. Try something, see how it works. If you're having a problem with it, try something different. Bone on bone is always hard. There are some isometric things, which means things where you're not really moving the joint, but you're creating tension on the muscle, like wall sits potentially. There's some band work that you can do. I don't know if you've worked with a physical therapist, but there might be a physical therapist in your area where you can say, hey, I'd like to get a session just so you can show me some of the exercises I can do to help build muscle with this condition. That might be something that you could do, or get a personal trainer who may specialize, or maybe the physical therapist in your area can refer you to a personal trainer who specializes in that kind of thing, and you can get a session with them. You may not need to go to them regularly, but maybe spend 1 or 2 sessions, have them show you some things you can do at home. And then maybe, I don't know, every month or 2, you go in and say, hey, how am I doing? What's this look like? Whatever, something like that.
Okay. And then I have 2 more, but they're just, I don't really know them, but like they follow me on Instagram. So I didn't put their handles in, but so here's the question. For general health and getting toned muscles, should postmenopausal women do workouts differently than premenopausal women?
Not really. The goal, what was the goal? Build muscle?
Yeah, for general health and getting toned muscles. Yeah.
Yeah. Not really. The concepts don't change, right? You have to stimulate growth and you have to recover enough for it to grow. So this is the mistake that I see most women and a lot of influencers and even doctors in the space are saying. I think we're missing the context, and that is a lot of people are saying you shouldn't be doing anything because it's a stress on your body, right? And we just talked about that. What I think that we're missing is that the context in most of those discussions is that most of the women that are coming to us for help are doing way more than they need to be doing. So we're trying to get them to step back, and we're not saying don't do anything. What we're saying is you're doing too much. You need to chill out.
Right. You got to get those rest days. Yeah.
You got to get those rest days, right? Yeah. Doing a spin class 4 days a week, trying to get 20,000 steps, doing 3 days of 45 minutes of cardio all in 1 week as a norm, and freaking out if you don't get that. That's too much. Number one, none of that stuff is helping you build muscle. So building muscle should be the priority. 99% of the women that I work with should not be worried about cardio. They should be worried about building muscle.
Yeah.
As the number one focus that they need to be thinking about.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely one of my goals. I know I put on some. I don't have the fancy InBody brand, but I do have a similar type scale. I can see, I can see for sure that my muscle is going up. That's actually very motivating. So it was worth the money.
Absolutely. Well, that's another aspect of it, right? Is when you start realizing there's all these other things you can look at besides your weight. When you start realizing that your body fat percentage, your lean mass, your skeletal muscle mass, your visceral fat, there's 4 numbers right there you can look at as those improve that have nothing to do with your weight. Then you start looking at, okay, I want to get really good at the 7 essential movements. So now we have 10 things that we can look at. Are we improving in these 10 things, right? Just those things in general. We haven't gotten into the really sciencey stuff of all the different aspects of fitness, right? We talk about, are you stronger? Do you have more endurance? Do you have more stamina? Is your balance and coordination improving? Are you faster? Are you more flexible? Right? So there's 10 components of fitness. So now we have 20 different things we can look. You will never, if you start doing these things from a fitness perspective, you will never have anything that you can't look at to see if you're improving. You'll never stall again. The only reason we stall now is because we're only looking at one thing.
Yeah.
Right? If we start, I just gave you 20 different things, and there's more, trust me. I could probably give you 30 or 40 different things, but I just gave you 20 different things that you can look at to say, hey, I've got all this stuff I can get better at. I don't have to look at the scale ever again.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, one more, and then there's some people actually here right now that are popping in some questions. I'm very excited about this. Okay, so this one, I mean, I can repeat it. I should have put them in so I could pop them on the screen, but I didn't. But so she said, my mom is 60, okay, and has bunions that cause pain. She doesn't do any exercises except for going for walks. Is there something light and enjoyable that she could do? So that's part one, and I can repeat these. Also, she's afraid of having high cholesterol. So there's not many quality proteins she can have. What can we do about that? So first part of the question is, right now she's walking, but she has bunions. She wants recommendations for light exercises that she can do.
Okay, so if she's
she's
walking, she doesn't have a problem. If she doesn't have a problem walking, then I would say the first thing you want to start having her do is start carrying something while she walks.
Okay.
Right. So that is technically resistance that you're adding to an activity. So it will help work on grip strength. It will help work on her legs will get stronger because now she has to carry something. It will help work on some cardiovascular improvement. It will help work on shoulder strength and posture. That will do a whole bunch of things for her. And then if you get creative, you can be, okay, well, let's carry things different ways. Let's carry two things in one hand by our side. Let's carry one thing in our chest and give it a hug while we walk. Let's carry something on our shoulder. Like you can, and it doesn't have to be 100 pounds, right? Start with a 1 pound weight and see how that goes. I don't know how long they're walking, if they're walking a mile or two or half a mile or whatever it is, but that would be my first recommendation. If she's already doing something there, how can we make that a little bit more challenging and help her see some improvement?
Cool. And then what about cholesterol? Why should she maybe, because she just said she's afraid of having high cholesterol. What can we do about that?
That's hard. Women that are older who grew up in the Crisco days, outside of sharing stories and giving her more information and helping her understand the science that's out there now, especially the new stuff, right? There's a new study that just came out, was it like 3 weeks ago, right at the end of the year?
Yep.
That showed that, the hyper-responder study.
Yep.
LDL is not the problem. Cholesterol is not the problem. Right?
Yep.
The Harvard study that came out, even though it wasn't a conclusive study, but it was very anecdotal, but the Harvard study that came out a couple of years ago that had 3,000 people over a couple of years that were eating carnivore and had all kinds of benefits from it. So, I mean, there's so much out right now, as far as the information we have available that we can the statin studies that have come out in the last couple of years that show that statins actually kill more people than LDL does. Right? There's no benefit. It's been documented. There is no benefit or change in death percentages and death certificate statistics from statins. They don't help anything.
And then another great one is Zoe Harcombe. Have you ever watched anything by Zoe Harcombe? So yeah, because she really gets into she'll talk about the myth of fiber and saturated fat and cholesterol. She'll explain it all. She's read all the studies, digested them.
Zoe and Nina Teicholz is another one.
Yeah, Nina.
Anything, if you can get her to watch anything by Zoe or Nina, if she's willing to watch it. I mean, that's
Okay, so this is from My Metamorphosis. So she says, tips for a 5'9" female, 110 pounds, carnivore to bulk up. And then Christy knows. This is Carrie. She's a friend of mine. She's struggling to put on weight. She just keeps dropping weight and she doesn't want to drop any more weight. I will tell you that in January, she's challenged herself to start eating breakfast. So good for her. So she's adding breakfast as a meal each day. So I'm like, she puts up a short every day and I'm like, go Carrie, go.
3 things you need to build.
Okay.
Protein, strength training, and recovery. I should have gone this way, but whatever. Eat more, lift more, sleep more.
Okay. You hear that, Carrie? Are you still
there? That's really it.
And
again, I have a program that's designed specifically for women to help grow muscle. So I'll send that link to you if you're interested in doing that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what you're doing as far as food goes, but you're 110 pounds. I would say anybody that's close to that 110 pounds for women, this is one little exception I have to my 1-to-1-to-1. Okay. For smaller women. Okay, you're 110 pounds at 5'9". Number one, I didn't see that 5'9" until just now. I don't know what your history is, and I don't want to freak you out. but you should be probably around 165. 170 should be a good weight for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's muscle and fat. Okay. Because if you can put on 60 pounds, even if most of that is muscle, some of that's still going to be fat, but you're going to look freaking amazing. Okay. And your metabolism is going to be freaking amazing. If you can put on 10, 15, 20 pounds of muscle over the next couple of years, it's going to take a couple of years. It's not going to happen overnight. Okay. You are going to be a completely different person. You're not even going to recognize yourself. It's going to be awesome. And the things that your body can do with that much muscle, you're going to be so freaking strong. Oh my gosh. Okay. So as just say, you 100 grams minimum, I would say for you, thinking about how much you have to put on, I would say if you can get higher than that, then definitely do that.
Okay. 100 grams of protein. You're talking about 100 and fat. Okay.
Yeah. Minimum protein. The
Okay.
fat, I wouldn't go under at 110 pounds now. I wouldn't go under 110. That's her body weight. I wouldn't go under that.
Yeah.
And that was the exception. I was going to say for women that are around 100 pounds in total weight, 100 and 100 at a minimum.
Okay.
So if you're 100 pounds and let's say you're 20% body fat, you're only going to get 80 grams of protein a day. That's not enough. You're only getting 80 grams of fat a day. No, 100 is my low end for 90 most people that I work with.
Okay. And then she was just saying she's here. Yeah, she's interested. She eats meat, eggs, bacon, and just has always been very slim.
Yeah.
But she's told me in the past she's one of those people that can just like forget to eat. Like she'll just be doing her thing and just not be hungry and just kind of not, even as a kid, she would do that as a kid.
Yep.
And just tell her mom, like, I wish there was a pill I could take so I wouldn't have to eat.
Right. So you have to be much more deliberate if you're trying to grow. Much more deliberate about what you're doing. Do everything that you do. So you have to optimize your recovery, optimize your sleep, increase your food intake, and the workouts you're doing need to be completely focused on growth.
Okay, you hear that, Carrie? Growth, girl. All right. Renee's joking around. She says she's starting a GoFundMe for Carrie's bail money when she starts flexing those muscles. I'll donate to that. Oh my gosh, that's awesome, Renee. Okay. Next question here, Florida Doc 999. What exercise would you recommend for someone with cancer, fasted or not, during chemo days, etc.?
Okay, so during chemo. Okay, so the exercise during chemo days or fasted during chemo. Well, okay, I'll tell you what. You should be working out during chemo days. Number one, I'll just say that is not. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Your body has just got whacked in a way that most people will never understand. Working out is the last thing you need to be thinking about. Okay. I actually had a client who was dealing with that and she would come to the gym and work out. She'd be like, I'm like, what are you doing? Go home. Like, I don't understand. But she was super dedicated. She wanted to use fitness to kind of fight this thing. She's as far as I know right now, I haven't worked with her in a couple of years, but as far as I know, she's in remission. But I wouldn't recommend that. So on chemo days, I would say eat if you can. I know that can be difficult at times. Eat if you can, or eat what you can, and then work out at other times. Try to work your exercise into around your chemo days. The workouts you should be doing should be focused on building as much muscle as possible, because that is what's going to help you fight the effects of chemo and fight the effects of cancer, right? The more muscle you have, the more glycogen your body is going to utilize on its own. It's not going to be able to go anywhere else. If you're already keeping glycogen low as far as intake goes, it's just going to help that process. It's going to improve your ability to recover. It's going to make you more resilient. Muscle solves so many problems in so many instances. I like to say that muscle is the physiological equivalent of keto on the biological side. Right? Keto, people go keto and all these great things start happening, right? Muscle is the keto of our physiology. The more muscle you build, the more effect and improvement you're going to see in all sorts of areas.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good answer. I've heard like muscle is like the organ of longevity. I've heard that, but I've never heard anyone say it quite like you just did. That's cool. Okay, Mike is asking, hey, coach, I'm 61 in a few weeks and haven't worked out in a long time. What's the best way to get started, specifically at the gym?
Number one, show up. Number two, I don't know what gym you're at. If they have, there's a couple of different, I mean, there's the best way is going to be different for everybody. There's a few different ways. If you have any experience and you kind of know what you're doing, you can just get a program. I have a couple of different programs that are available. I know there's tons of programs out there. And just get a program that says, hey, here's the stuff you're doing, go do it. Here's an app, whatever. You could get a personal trainer. Some gyms have machines where those machines are set up in a circuit where you basically go in 3 or 4 days a week, like every other day, and you just do the full circuit, right? So I got a leg thing, a couple leg things, a couple arm things, a couple back and things, a couple chest things, right? And you go through the circuit. Maybe you go through the circuit 3 or 4 times each day. And then that's a great way to get a full round, full body exercise in. My top recommendation, if everybody had the opportunity to do it, I would say go join a CrossFit gym. That will be your absolute number one best option. Find a gym in your area that is a CrossFit gym that has coaches where you can do a drop-in for free. 99% of CrossFit gyms all over the world. There's 15,000 CrossFit gyms all over. It's the largest fitness brand in the world, in case you didn't know. And there's a reason for that, is because it changes people's lives. Any CrossFit gym in your area is going to have a free class. Go to all of them. Visit all of the CrossFit gyms in your area. Get a free class. Meet the people. See how the coaches coach. See what their programming is like. Ask questions. How long have people been there? What's the average age of the person here? What's the background of the people here? How many people do you have that are like me? Whatever it may be. What's the most popular class? Go do all the questions. Find out. CrossFit gyms are, I think, the best. The closest analogy I have to CrossFit gyms is they are the bars of the fitness world, right? You go to any city and there's a bar in every corner. Right? But you don't go to every bar. You find one bar that you like. I like this bartender. I like these people. I like the vibe here. CrossFit gyms are the exact same way, right? You go find a CrossFit gym. You kind of like the vibe. You like the coaches. You like the people. Place is cool. It's a fun place to hang out. You get along. Then that becomes your fitness home. That becomes your support system, your community. And then you can go there and just launch from there.
That's cool. Yeah, and in case you guys, because a lot of people dropped in later, Coach Bronson's going to give me links to all of his programs, and I will pop those down in the description below once he sends those over to me. So if you're interested in that, that will be there. And some of them, Mike, are even, he was talking earlier about like it is meant for being at a gym. So you can, to get that program, and he'll tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Okay. So Susan says she like typoed earlier, but she needs to lose 60 to 70 pounds. She's already lost 35. She's 5'2". How much fat and protein should I eat? I usually eat 70 to 80% fat. So she must have come in, Coach, after you talked about those dastardly percentages.
So, I don't know how much you weigh, Susan, but I would say if you know what your lean mass is, okay, so let's say, like I use the example, if you weigh 200 pounds and you're 25% body fat, that means you have 150 pounds of lean mass. So just using that as an example, I would say your goal would be 150 grams of protein, 150 grams of fat. So go back and watch the earlier part when this is replayed. But the percentage of your fat and protein is not understood by your body. So percentages don't mean anything. If you're getting 70 to 80% fat, it's very likely that that's too much fat and you're not getting enough protein. So if you can stop looking at the percentages and actually look at the actual amount of protein that you're eating, because calories don't matter, right? If we know that calories don't matter, then percentages of calories doesn't make sense, okay? So how much protein are you getting? How much fat are you getting? I think I don't know what your numbers are, but 1 to 1 to 1. And we can, I explain this very well in my book. I don't know if you want to put that. Do you have that link up? Do you have that link?
Is it the one about with the ketogenic diet in the title? That one?
Ultimate Ketogenic Fitness.
Yes, that one. Yes,
so I have a whole section. Yeah, I have a whole section there's a whole chapter in my book that goes over how to set your macros. Okay, so if you guys go to Amazon and get that book, there's a whole chapter in there on how to set your macros, and it just breaks it down what the macros are, what the difference between functional macros are and fuel macros, and how we can manage the two. They're separate knobs. Your fat and your protein are individual knobs, and they have nothing to do with each other.
I just want to point out, so sorry, Coach, I can't, the only thing I can see is the giant Amazon screen right now since I'm presenting.
Yeah.
I can't see you or anybody else, but for those of you that didn't see this right here, I'm kind of circling it. So if you have Kindle Unlimited, like which I do, so it's free for those of us that have Kindle Unlimited. You can just download that and read it for free, which is amazing.
And in case you didn't see that, in case you don't know that guy on the bottom who wrote my foreword.
Yeah, just a guy named Ken Berry. You may or may not have heard of him. That's cool. So I did download it, but I haven't started it yet. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, no, that's awesome.
But yes, I'm going to read it. I did download it because I saw it was free and I was like, oh, that's awesome. Okay, so now I got to get back where I can see you guys. There you are. Okay, so and then Renee is asking a question. So she says, I've been needing a hip replacement for about 10 years. Can carnivore help this? I don't want a fake hip.
I can't answer that question. I can tell you it might help relieve some of the issues, but if you needed it for 10 years, it's very likely that you still need it. Yeah, I don't know your specifics. I know there are some conditions that are joint related with people that carnivore has helped. I can tell you that, again, I don't know how severe it is and what your limitations are. Building muscle around it could potentially help as well. So a lot of times when people get injured, the doctors tell you to stop doing stuff. That's wrong. Because then what happens? Everything deteriorates. It's like we have this perception in society that if something's not working, we need to stop everything else around it so nothing works. That doesn't make any sense. Right? You want to make everything else stronger. The body's designed to compensate. And sometimes we need to force that compensation when we know something is limiting us. We need to work around it. So, compensation when we're doing something wrong and we don't know it can be a bad thing. That's often causes injury. But intentional compensation is something we don't talk about enough. Right? I've got a bad hip. Well, I've got a bad hip because of who knows what happened, movement pattern, what injury I may have had in the past. We need to fix the movement pattern. Why did you get this bad hip? Is it because of the way that you walk? Is it because you got something wrong with your ankles or your back or your knees or something else? What caused that problem in the first place? Let's fix that and then build up the muscles around it so that we can alleviate some of the pressure and some of the pain. So there may be things that you can do. Again, not knowing the details and if you're at a point where those things will work or not, but I would say maybe, again, find a physical therapist. That is another example. Find a physical therapist who may have some experience and they can tell you, hey, maybe there's something that we can do to kind of relieve some of the pain. And maybe even if it's not completely stop the need for a replacement, maybe we can postpone it and make your life a little bit better until it's absolutely needed. But nutrition and physical activity is probably a good place to start.
Okay. And then Carrie's very excited about your book. I'm gonna go download it right now. That's great. Yes, Carrie reads a lot of things. I know she'll download it and then she'll read it. I promise you I'm going to read it. I promise you. Okay, so you talked a little bit about the ketogenic diet in that in terms of that study that you did on the women. How does like being in ketosis or the ketogenic diet like play into all of this? You talked about macros, but you didn't talk about like specifically ketogenic being in ketosis. Does that matter? Is that part of it?
Nope.
Okay. End of answer. So if ketosis doesn't matter, then why should we eat a ketogenic diet?
Because it's a lot more about what we're not eating.
Okay.
Ketogenic diet is a framework that allows us to get the things that our body needs as opposed to be confused and get the things that we don't. So the ketogenic diet is outside of carnivore specifically, right? Let me rephrase this. A whole foods animal-based ketogenic diet,
Mm-hmm.
okay, is going to be the highest level for most people of nutrient density, bioavailability, and satiety than they've ever had in their life. Right?
Okay.
It's going to be completely devoid of anything that's going to cause inflammation or chronic stress internally in the biology. Right? So it's going to let their body heal and fix a lot of problems. Ketones are part of that process, but they are not the answer. They are not the silver bullet. The ketogenic diet, and this is actually something that I'm working on. You guys, you're about to get it all. Okay.
Ooh, okay.
So talk about this a little bit in the book that you were just showing. I talk a little. I have a section in there called what is it called? Hold on. I have it right here. Hold on. Not the cholesterol. I have a section in here too called the cholesterol myth. If that person wants to read that to their grandmother or their mother.
Okay.
Stop chasing ketosis. That's the title in the book. Okay, stop chasing ketosis. And the idea that I want people to understand is that ketones in the blood, especially to the point of being able to say I'm in ketosis, what does that mean? That means I have excess ketones in the blood that my body can't do anything with. Just a question, random question. How is having excess ketones in the blood, okay, i.e. excess fuel in the blood, any better for us than having excess glucose in the blood? It's a fuel that our body can't use.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we chasing that? Right? It is part of the process of becoming keto adapted and what I like to call keto optimized.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But it is not the end point. The end point of being a ketogenic person, right? The end point of living a ketogenic lifestyle is actually low ketones, right? What good is having fuel if our body isn't using it? That's the question I want everybody to ask themselves, right? So when my body gets good at utilizing ketones, then I am at a point where I can say I am ketogenic because now I can burn fat, I can make carbs and then burn them.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I burn the fat, they create ketones and I can burn the ketones too. As opposed to the process of burning ketones not being efficient. So when I burn the fat and make ketones, the ketones just sit around because my body doesn't know what to do with them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's happening. So we're stuck on ketones because back in the day when the ketogenic diet was defined, it was defined as medical ketosis, which was useful for multiple sclerosis, brain injury, and all those things. And it was defined by the ketone level. Therefore, it was named the ketogenic diet, right?
Mm-hmm.
What people are using it for today from a lifestyle perspective, from a general health and function perspective, it's not about the ketones, it's about the utilization of the ketones. And we haven't made that transition and that understanding in the space yet to realize that being ketogenic, true metabolic flexibility is about our body's ability to utilize all four metabolic pathways. And this is something that we don't talk about either. Okay. This is something I mentioned in the book that I'm working on. I'm working on another book. Did I tell you I'm working on another book?
Yeah, you did. So we're getting a sneak preview, guys.
Yeah. So this is something I dig into a little bit more in my next book. And then the book after that is going to really dig into it. So I'm also in the process of getting my master's in exercise science and nutrition. And this is probably going to be one of my papers that I write after that. But there are actually, we talk about three metabolic pathways in exercise science. We talk about the ATP system, we talk about the glycolytic system, and we talk about the oxidative system. So we talk about stored ATP, right? ATP is the energy of the cell. And we talk about glycogen being utilized for energy. And then we talk about fat being utilized for energy. Why don't we talk about ketolysis? The ketolytic pathway is just as valid of a fuel pathway as the glycolytic pathway, but no one ever talks about it. I looked up ketolysis. Ketolysis is the biological process that our body uses to break down ketones and make ATP. Okay.
I've never heard that word. Like I've heard we do
exactly.
that. I've never heard that word before. And
exactly.
How much binge watching have I been doing since February? Like a lot.
I looked up ketolysis, and there's almost nothing out there.
Okay.
Whenever I look up ketolysis, I get ketosis back.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't understand this. Why are we not talking about this? This is a whole system that's dedicated to turning ketones into ATP to make muscles contract, right? And the reason I started looking into this is because last year, I did a couple interviews with Dr. Sivas. I did a couple interviews with Barkay. I've talked to a bunch of other people. And in these conversations, I was realizing we're talking about the fact, the understood fact that muscles require glycogen to contract, that in order for me to flex my muscle, it requires glycogen. And I started thinking about that process and having conversations and asking questions. Guys, ask all the questions. It'll change your life. The more questions you ask, the more just things start making sense. I started asking questions. Well, wait a second. I don't understand something. If muscles require glycogen to contract, then how does oxidative priority work? How does fat make my muscles contract? If I'm running and I'm using fat for energy, that's not glycogen. So how can we say that my muscles require glycogen if they can use fat? Well, wait a second. If they can also use fat, then what are ketones doing? And that's when I started looking like, how are ketones used for energy? And then I realized a fat adapted athlete is not a ketogenic adapted athlete, is not a ketogenic athlete. That really blew my mind because we talked about them interchangeably, right? I'm a keto athlete. I'm a fat adapted athlete. No, you're not. Being fat adapted does not mean that you're keto adapted because they are two separate ways that your body creates ATP, right? So it just sent me down this whole rabbit hole. So I don't even remember where I was starting. I told you, you're going to get it all right now because I'm just going to go off. Matt has been dealing with me for the past 6 months as I ramble off on things.
Yep.
And she's like, what are you talking about right now?
You were talking about ketolysis, and I know that because I'm like, that's a new word. I learned
that's a new word, right?
So
I actually have, I've been collecting data and studies and trying to work an outline. I want to write this big paper that basically says we've been thinking about energy metabolism wrong, and bioenergetics is missing. We're currently missing an entire metabolic pathway in the way that we talk about bioenergetics. And ketolysis, a ketone metabolism is a known thing. You can look up ketone metabolism. Much of the information, if you look up ketone metabolism, is going to be about ketogenesis and ketosis. It's not going to talk a lot about ketolysis. So for some reason, there's this giant gap, and I don't understand why that's there. I mean, I do kind of understand why that's there, but yeah. So the process of I'll try to sum up everything I said into this. The process of being ketogenic starts with, okay, and if you guys want to take notes, this is what's going to be in my book. The process of being ketogenic starts with lipolysis and or exogenous fats, right? So the food that I eat or the food that my body the fat that I eat or the fat that my body breaks down from itself, right? That's where the process of becoming ketogenic starts with, okay? When your body gets good at breaking that down and then utilizing that for fuel, that's fatty acid oxidation. That is directly transferring fatty acids into ATP. That is fat adaptation. That is one. That is level one. You are fat adapted when your body is good at breaking down fat and using it for energy. Okay. That is not keto adapted. Okay. Keto adapted starts once you've gotten fat adapted and you start breaking down those fatty acids. The byproduct of breaking down fatty acids is ketones. So now you start producing ketones. So ketogenesis becomes something that starts playing more in your body. Ketogenesis becomes efficient. Now I have a lot of ketones in my blood. Oh, guess what? Now I'm in ketosis. So the keto adaptation starts with improving ketogenesis and a state of ketosis, right?
Okay.
The next level where you are actually keto adapted, what I call keto optimized, okay, where you are adapted and your body is actually utilizing the ketones properly, is when ketolysis is efficient and you've activated ketolysis to the point that you can utilize ketones instead of glycogen on a regular basis, because fatty acid oxidation doesn't replace glycolysis.
Okay.
They're used for two different things. Ketolysis replaces glycolysis,
Okay.
right? And
Yeah. And
now
that's
this
level
part,
3.
yeah, this part is theory for me because I can't find, I'm still doing the research, but this part is where I'm putting some dots together and making some connections, right? Ketolysis, when our body utilizes ketones for energy, is replacing a big portion of what glycolysis would be doing if we were eating carbs.
Got it.
Right? So that's how that works.
Okay, so I have a question. So you talked about like it's like level 1, like you go on a ketogenic diet, right? And then you become fat adapted because you start breaking down fat that you eat or fat from your body, and then you go into where your body's making ketones, and then the level 3. Like, is there something we need to do to get from level to level, or is it just get into a keto lifestyle and stay there for a
The biggest thing you can do is be consistent with your nutrition and move your body.
Okay.
Right? Because here's the thing, all of those things I just talked about, lipolysis is a process, it's a system. Ketogenesis is a process, it's a system. Ketolysis is a process, it's a system, right? The only way to improve a process or system in the human body is to activate it more and give it and make it work. So how do we do that? Keep eating what you're eating, give it the fuel that it needs, and move your body so that it needs to do those things more often.
Okay, so sorry, questions are popping in now because you dropped some bombs, and so now so I'm making sure to star them so I don't lose them.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're just saying it's a function of time. Do you have any idea like how much time? Like, is there a ballpark, or is it like just
Hold on.
different?
That might be in the book too. Hold on, that might be in the book too. Hold on. I got so many different things working right now. Let's see. Hold on. Did I put that in the book? I did. All right. So in the book, on page, what page is that? 163. I have this little diagram. Okay. Now this diagram in my next book is much more updated.
Okay.
So this is the initial one you're going to see in this book. In the next book I have coming out later this year, it's going to be a little bit more detailed and have a little more explanation. But I've got fat adapted at 1 to 2 weeks.
Okay.
Keto adapted at 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
And keto optimized 8 to 12 weeks.
Okay.
And keto optimized, this is where a lot of people, and I saw a couple of people talking about exercise. Fat adapted to keto adapted is going to be where your exercise is the roughest. Right? That's where you're getting the keto flu. You feel like you got no energy. Somewhere between the 6 and 12 week period, things start getting better. And then you're like, holy crap, I am unstoppable. Because your body starts, because that's where the switch over from glycolysis, right? Because this is the thing. When we talk about energy, a lot of the workouts that we do are glycolytic. We talk about the glycolytic pathway. The glycolytic pathway is the priority. So what are we doing? We're removing carbs. Our body has to get good at making carbs. Okay. So we have to, like, glucose, G and G, I'll just say G and G kicks in.
Gluconeogenesis. I know, it's hard to
say. So G and G has to improve. We actually need, this is another one, we actually need gluconeogenesis in order to be ketogenic.
Yeah.
What? Right?
Yeah.
So we need that. So that has to get better. So that's going to take a little bit of time. Right? So we've removed some we've moved the glycolytic efficiency because we've removed some of that fuel. Gluconeogenesis has to get better. At the same time, we haven't been using ketolysis that much. So that now has to be like, hey, what am I doing? Oh, there's this whole other pathway I haven't been using. I got to figure out how to use this again. So it has to build itself up and become efficient. So then that's where that transition, when we have better self-production of glycogen for its use and better utilization of ketones, when the two of those meet, that's where we're keto optimized and everything just takes off.
Okay. And so I know this is all new research, and your answer could very well be, I don't know. But I'm going to ask it because it pertains to me and it pertains to my friend Carrie that you were my metamorphosis. Okay.
Yeah.
We're both lean mass hyper responders. How would that play? Because we are we just have LDL.
Yeah.
That's what we're using according to the lipid energy model. That's what we're using,
Yeah.
to fuel our bodies. So how does that play in anywhere in what you're talking about?
I would say it could, but I have no idea how.
Okay.
Right. Because then we're talking about transporting energy through the body and all those other types of things. Now, what it may not, because we're not talking about we're not talking about transporting fat around, right? That's what LDL does.
Right.
So it may not. It may not be any different once you get past that fat adapted stage. That's where that could apply only, right? Because we're talking about fat transport with LDL. With the keto optimized piece with ketolysis, it may not play a role at all, but I couldn't say for sure.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I just wondered if you had even thought about that.
No, I hadn't. That's a great question. Yeah. I'll add it to my list.
Add it to your list. All that research is new, man. It's crazy. Okay, so Renee would like to know, when is the new book coming out?
I wish I could tell you. Yeah, I wish I could tell you. So the new book, the plan is by Memorial Day, but we'll see. So I just actually, I just hired a book launch mentor, a book launch coach. So part of that process is having him and his team look at the book and destroy it and tell me how much of it I need to rewrite, and then go through that whole process. So it's already been through a couple of rounds of editing, just from a basic, grammar and basic flow and that kind of stuff. But then now we have to do it from a readability and a presentation. What does the layout look like and all those other types of things. So it's going to be, it's still a few more months, but hopefully by the end of May.
Okay. So we're this year, halfway through maybe. Okay, cool. And then Mike is asking, or he says he's heard that fat for fuel is not the best for explosive sports, say like sprinting or a running back. Is this true? Can twitch muscles use fat just as well as glycogen?
Okay, so based on the conversation we just had, I'm going to say that no, they can't use fat just as well as glycogen, but they can use ketones just as well.
Because ketones.
So if you are keto optimized, if you have been through this process and you've been consistent, you've been moving your body, you've taken that 8 to 12 weeks to get fully, adapted to ketones, then you're not going to see any detraction from your performance. You might actually see some benefit, particularly. Even this is one of the arguments that a lot of people don't understand, because this is what I experienced and this is what all my clients experience. Even if your performance is exactly the same and nothing gets better in how you perform, 1-to-1 glycogen for fuel, ketones for fuel. Okay. The recovery from your activity, if you're using ketones for fuel, is going to be 3 times better than if you're using carbs. Okay. So that means your overall training volume is going to be higher long-term in the aggregate. So your overall performance will get better faster because you can actually train more. It is literally the same process that people get when they go on steroids. Steroids don't help you grow muscle. They help you recover faster so you can work out more.
Okay.
And that is literally what this is doing.
Wow. That's cool. Okay, this is Haley. She's my fellow host on Lioness Lifestyle. So hi, Haley. She came in late. She says she knows she's coming in super late, but she's wondering if a keto diet is better or carnivore. Is there a difference as far as fat adapted versus ketosis? I hope that makes sense.
Yes. So the second part, I'm not going to say all that over again. So
yeah, because it's basically what you were just talking about. Yeah. But keto versus carnivore, do you have an opinion on that?
So this is another part of what the next book is about. So just to give you a quick overview of what the next book about, I was going to title the next book Principles Over Protocols, because this is a perfect example. This question is a perfect example where I think a lot of people are getting stuck in their progress because they're trying to match their lifestyle to the name of a diet. instead of looking at what is it about the diet that I need, right? Because everybody needs something different. So there's no such thing as a better diet. There is only the diet that will work for you. So don't think about it as the name. Think about it from, and this is what I really wanted to, it's the three things. If you can answer yes to these three questions, then you're never going to go wrong. Is the food I'm eating nutrient dense? Is the food I'm eating bioavailable? And is the food I'm eating satiating? If you can say yes to those three things, then you're doing the right thing. Keep going. I don't care what the name of your diet is.
Mike put up this question, but I think you might have answered it. I'm going to put it up just in case if you have anything more to say. So he says, I'm still 40 pounds overweight, but his labs look a lot like a lean mass hyperresponder. Is it possible that a big mass hyperresponder is getting the same types of benefits?
I don't know if that really exists. Is that a thing? Is that a thing?
He just made that
up. Anything's possible, man. I honestly, so is the question about your cholesterol or about, okay, so your labs look a lot like, okay, so your cholesterol looks a lot like a lean mass hyperresponder. Okay. So it's possible. I don't, again, is it a problem? I can't tell you if it's a problem or not. I wouldn't think so. I know, I don't consider myself a lean mass hyperresponder. Now, you can make yourself a lean mass hyperresponder. It's not a genetic thing. I don't know if we've talked about, if you've ever talked about that, right? I wasn't a lean mass hyperresponder when I first got started, but I do all the stuff and I essentially am one now, right? So body composition and activity and muscle mass and all those different things is what makes a difference. So not knowing your specific body composition and all those other things, right? 40 pounds overweight may not be over fat, right? You might have more muscle than you think you have. So you may not be lean, but you may have enough muscle that your body is doing things a little bit differently than someone who was maybe 40 pounds over fat. Overweight and over fat are not the same thing.
Okay. So responding to your answer here, Haley is saying, I love the idea of not fitting into any specific label. Just eat what makes you feel your best.
Yeah.
Like for me, for example, my mental health is what got so much better when I like really got the carbs close to zero. It's not that I have like digestive issues with vegetables or like any other problems with, anything, broccoli or whatever. But I just happened to notice that when I took them out, that's when I got like the mental clarity and the energy, the better sleep, the anxiety started to drop, that kind of thing. And I don't know if it was because I just binged and, I did the whole binge and restrict cycle for so many years that my hormones were just so messed up that I kind of have to do that to keep myself in check or what. I don't know, because I'm, no kind of expert. But that's where I feel great. So that's what I'm doing currently.
Yeah. And that may work for now. And this is the other part of the process, right? For now, 2 years from now, a year from now, 6 months from now, you may be like, I feel like crap. I need to change something. And then you figure out what you need to change to. Nothing we do is ever going to last forever. And that's another aspect of the book, is I want people to understand that the process of evaluating where you're at, and then how do I make a change? I've been carnivore for almost 6 years. I'm 51 years old. I have physical freedom. I don't have any limitations on what I can do or want to do. And, I'm at a point where I have a healthy relationship with food. If I decide, you're just going to freak people out. If I decide, hey, you know what? I'm going to go this weekend. I'm going to have some Ben and Jerry's. Who's to say that's wrong? Right? I don't have a problem with it. It may put me in the bathroom the next day for an extra hour. Right? That's a price I might be willing to pay for some Tonight Dough or some Netflix and chilled, right? Whatever it is. But it's not going to hurt my progress because I'm maintaining right now. I'm not trying to get any real major change. I have physical goals, performance goals, things I'm trying to work for. Yeah. And that may set me back half a day, like whatever. It's not going to doing it one day in a 3-month period or a 2-month period isn't going to completely derail my progress. So being at a point where you are able to make the choices that you want to make, again, it's a net negative or a net positive, right? For me, I may wake up, today's Friday. It's Friday when we're recording this, right? So tomorrow's Saturday. Coach Nat and I may get up tomorrow morning and go to a local restaurant where we have brunch. I may get home fries. Not something that I do a lot, right? But so my story, the first thing I did nutrition wise when I started my journey almost 15 years ago was stop eating French fries and tater tots and home fries and hash browns and all the fried potato things, right?
Because you probably ate them just as often as you just said that right now.
Yeah, exactly. Every day. There was a time in my life where I would go to Red Robin. I don't know if you guys know Red Robin gourmet burgers and unlimited baskets of French fries.
Yep, I know it well.
I would go to Red Robin for lunch because it was right down the street from my office at least 3 days a week. Okay. I could not get past the idea that if it's free, I have to have 2 baskets. I'm paying for this. It's free. I'm going to have 2 baskets. So 3 days a week for months at a time, I was having 2 baskets of French fries for lunch. And it's not like I'd eat a basket and then get another basket and have a couple. Both baskets had to go. You know what I'm saying? With ketchup and all of it. You know, the burger, I always got a bacon cheeseburger or bacon chili cheeseburger, right? All of it, every time. You know, this is, 70 pounds ago, obviously. So I can do that because I'm at a point where the net negative of having a serving of home fries isn't the negative aspect compared to all the other positives I have going on right now. It's really inconsequential. So that's where I want everyone to get to, right? If you think about it like a bank account, a lot of people are working in a negative health account. If you look at their health, right? Their quality of life is a negative. They can't afford to go out and spend money on a new car with their health, right? Which would be going out and getting Ben and Jerry's, going out and having French fries, right? That's the splurge in the money perspective from your quality of life. When you get to a point where you have money in the bank, physical freedom, right? The equivalent, financial freedom, physical freedom. When you have physical freedom, when you have metabolic health, when you are truly metabolically flexible, and that means when your body can manage the energy it needs to, the way that it needs to. Metabolic flexibility, here's another misconception, is not about what you eat. Okay? You don't need to cycle carbs to be metabolically flexible. Okay? That's digestion flexible. That's nothing to do with your metabolism. Okay? So anybody that tells you you need to cycle carbs in order to maintain metabolic flexibility doesn't know what they're talking about.
Wow, I've heard so many people say that.
Right? It is
like a lot.
100% wrong. Metabolic flexibility is what we talked about before. Metabolic flexibility is when your body can break down fat and use it, create glycogen, not utilize what you eat, create glycogen and use it, and then create ketones and use them. That is metabolic flexibility. All of that is internal to our body. None of that is coming from external sources. So that was my other little rant.
No, I love your rants.
You're getting me all ranty today.
Like I have that effect on people. I'm sorry. So Mike said, I was half joking, but the real question is someone like me who is over fat, but with good labs and high LDL getting the benefits of high LDL, which is still being studied. I need to get lean. Thanks, coach.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. I think as long as you're not having any issues, I don't know of anyone who in my time doing this who's had issues with high LDL. Right. And I don't know what high means for you. My LDL, the last time I had it done, I want to say was almost 300, something like that. It was high. And my doctor was like, what's wrong? I'm like, I'm good. Don't worry about it.
Mine said over 350, like too high to measure, just greater than 350.
Yeah,
and
right.
Flipped out and just like fired me. Like she won't talk to me now because I won't take a statin.
So I would say focus on starting, try the 1-to-1-to-1 process, track what you're doing. If you feel like you need to drop fat, and that's the thing, right? So 222, I'm not a doctor, but I can't tell you that's good or bad. How you feeling, right? I would say do the 1-to-1-to-1 we talked about in your ratios. For most people, dropping the fat in your food is going to help you drop body fat, especially if you're increasing your protein intake and starting to do resistance training. Those three things together will bust any plateau.
Okay, Mike, you heard it here first. I'm going to stay on him. He's a good friend of mine, and I'm going to make sure he gets to the gym. I'm going to message him every day. Are you at the gym? Coach Bronson said, get your butt to the gym. Okay. Christopher Thompson says, any tips for resuming workouts after a cold? I celebrated my first carniversary just before the new year with the sniffles and a cold. I feel okay now, but don't have all my energy back.
Electrolytes. I would just say go do something. You don't have to do a full workout, but go do something to maintain the habit. When it comes to exercise, guys, however you're feeling, whenever you feel like you need to take time off, that's fine if you don't want to go, but do something to maintain the habit so you don't lose the habit, right? So, okay, I'm not going to go do a full workout. I feel like crap. I just got over a cold. Go walk on the treadmill. Show up at the parking lot and sit in the parking lot and listen to a podcast for 10 minutes. But you went to the gym. Right? You still took that time and you showed up and you did that thing, right? So the habit is always more important than anything else. So do that and you'll be fine. As far as recovering from the cold, during a cold, before a cold, after a cold, electrolytes. Nobody, and this is another thing that I say that people go, but I'm fine without it. And okay, that's great. If you're fine without it, that's fine. And I say nobody somewhat lightly, but I think a lot of people need it. And that is, I don't recommend drinking any water that doesn't have some kind of electrolyte in it. Whether you're adding salt, whether you're adding a product, whatever. I recommend Salty. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Salty. It's a new brand that just came out.
That. Yeah, from Keto Chow.
It's amazing.
I just heard about it, I don't know, like a week or two ago or whenever it came out. I was like in a live stream somewhere and Chris Bear was
it came out. They did a live stream right after Christmas. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
It is the best formulation of electrolytes. It's got 3 times the magnesium of any other brand, and it's $12 cheaper than Element per box.
Okay.
Right. So you're going to save a ton of money. And I have a code that I can send you for 10% more off than that.
Yeah.
So
if you send that code, anything you send me, I'm going to pop right down in the description. Okay. And I'm going to use that code too, because I did want to try. So I did want to try.
Fantastic. They have a chocolate flavor, a caramel flavor. They're both great in coffee. Yes, I drink coffee. They have a bunch of different fruit flavors, and they have an unflavored as well. If anybody doesn't want the flavor, they can just get the unflavored too. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. And then Renee, you're speaking my language. She's kind of joking, but I'm a pear shake too, Renee. I'm a pro at putting fat on the hips. Yep. It's going to go there first. What exercise will strengthen muscle there?
Okay. On the hips? So is that a sly way of asking if there's a way to burn fat off the hips?
I'm not sure. I don't know. Okay. I'm just saying, but I just know that's my problem area too. And it seems like no matter how many squats or whatever I do, although now that I've been sprinting, you can feel a difference. Like when you touch my legs, there's muscle in there that wasn't there, but like it never looks any different in the mirror.
Yeah. So the three movements that I told you about: squatting, hinging, or deadlifting, and lunging. Do those 3 things with resistance and weight, and you will start to see stronger hips.
Okay, so if
you'll start shaping your hips,
laser-like on those 3 movements, and don't worry about, and just do that with regularity with the rest that you were talking about. Okay, I have the weight. I mean, I have, like I told you, I have those dumbbells.
Yep.
So I can pick those up and give it a try. Okay, Renee, are you in? I thought there was another question, but maybe
she said no to help my hip. Yeah, if we're talking about just strengthening your hips, those movements will help.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Talking about because she's the one with the hip
Yep.
might need a hip replacement. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. If you're talking about just strengthening your hip, those things will help. But you may have to do them in specific ways because of your hip. Again, I don't know the details. So I would recommend getting with a personal trainer, getting with a physical therapist, someone who can kind of walk you through the best way to do it for your specific situation.
Okay. He said that Christopher says, thanks, coach. I've been drinking a lot of bone broth.
Yeah, that'll help. That'll help for sure. Yep.
All right, coach. Well, we've been at this for an hour and 45 minutes. I'm not sure if you have any final thoughts for us, but
this is good.
I asked every question plus all of their questions.
Yeah,
this
is awesome. I love it. I appreciate this a lot. If you ever want me to come back on, just let me know. I love doing this stuff. Let's see. If anybody's interested, I've been live streaming my workouts on my YouTube channel. So
I saw one. I saw you there. I was like, Coach is live. What's going on? I was like, oh my gosh, she's working out.
Yeah. So I'm trying to decide if I want to do, like, I've been doing the whole workout. So it's an hour to an hour and 15. And I feel like that's just too long. I can't imagine anybody would want to sit there and watch me work out for an hour and a half. So I'm thinking maybe I'll just do like one exercise. When I'm doing this exercise, I'll start filming. That should take me 15 to 20 minutes maybe before I move to something else. And then I'll just do that. So I don't know. We'll see. Well, that's kind of what I'm working on right now. Besides the book,
yeah, just a couple things, whatever.
And my master's. And I'm speaking on the low carb cruise as well. Do you know about the low carb cruise?
Yeah, but guess where I'm going to be?
You're going to be at KetoCon, aren't you?
Yes. Yes. And here's why. Because I'm afraid I'm going to get seasick. Okay, I'm afraid.
Okay.
And B, I interviewed Limitless Lindy from Australia, who's lost like 500 pounds, and she's going to KetoCon. She's going to KetoCon, and I was like, if Limitless Lindy is flying from Australia to go to KetoCon, then I'm going to KetoCon.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's where I'm going to be, but maybe we'll get to meet in person at some future,
another one for sure. Because I'm not going anywhere.
This will be my first one, so I'm really excited to go.
Awesome. You'll have a blast.
Yeah. So, but you can tell people about the low carb cruise if they want that option. They can.
I think there's only 10 spaces left.
Ooh,
we got an email the other day. So that means we're probably close to 350 people, something like that. I think that was the target this year. So, and the list of speakers, guys, it's going to be me, Coach Nat, Dr. Bickman, Dr. D'Agostino. I think Dave Feldman.
That's where I should be. Miss Lean Mass Hyper Responder myself.
Dr. Sivis.
Okay.
I want to say Dr. Boz. Dr. Boz is either this year or next year.
Dr. Boz is going to be at KetoCon.
Okay, then that means Maria Emmerich is going to be, because I know they were opposite years. So Dr. Boz is 2025, which is Alaska cruise.
I want to go on that. I might try to suck it up and go on that Alaska cruise.
And so that means I think Maria Emmerich will be at this year. So yeah, it's going to be it's always a great time and good line.
Yeah. Both of them are amazing. It's too bad that they are planned at the exact same weekend. Yeah. Anyways, but Mike Shaw is saying this has been fantastic, and Carrie is echoing that. Like
thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
And Chris is saying lots of great information to absorb. Absolutely. Thank you, of course. And Renee will be watching the replay to see what I missed and see if my brain can cope with what I did here. Yeah. I'm going to have to watch the replay too, because I'm listening to you, but I'm also reading the chat and responding to people and sparring things.
Guys, I'll be honest with you. I have to watch it too, because sometimes when I get going, I'm not even really aware of what I'm saying. There's just like a conscious stream. So hopefully it all made sense.
Yeah, no, it made a lot of sense. I really appreciate what I said at the beginning, the thing about the positive versus negative, benefit, or detriment or whatever, and balancing that, because yeah, exactly. I'm going to think about that every time it's time to go sprint. And it's 5 a.m. and cold outside.
Awesome. Well, I'll try to send you, I'll put it all together. I'll send it to you right now so I don't forget. I'll send it to you in the next 10 minutes.
Okay. And then as soon as it allows me to edit that in the description, I will do it. And then, yes, I would love to have you on again sometime in the future. So I'll let you know, maybe some of my viewers can tell me, I had my little pet topic, right? But maybe they have other topics. That they want to hear. And then can you put in a good word for Coach Nat for me? I want her to come on Lioness Lifestyle.
Hold on.
Okay. Hold on. Ellie, are you seeing this? Haley, are you seeing this? He's going to go get Coach Nat right now. I'm getting my pen. You guys. Aaron, are you seeing this? All my friends, are you guys still here? You're welcome, Carrie. He went to go get Coach Nat.
All right, she's working on something right now, but I'll have her get in touch with you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll send her the little sign up because I really want her on there. Okay, well, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you everyone for watching. And thank you, Coach, for all of your insights. Thank you, Mike. I'm unstoppable. Do you see this? I am unstoppable. Yes, I am. Okay. But no, seriously, thank you for the sneak peek into your book, the insights, all the good stuff today. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Bye, everybody.
Hey guys.